Yo, what's up, guys? It's Weisher. Hey, this is my first video in a new series I'm calling Cup of Poe. Cup of Poe is a video series dedicated to Path of Exile, all things Path of Exile related, whether that's patches or updates or items or characters, drama, my thoughts, possibly some builds, some build videos. That'd be cool. Maybe some podcasts, have some guests on here. But yeah, this is just my way of adding to the dialogue and being a contributing member of the Path of Exile community. So I figure I'd give it a shot. And in episode 1 of Cup of Poe, I'm going to cover basically my thoughts about the game thus far, my impression of it. I'm also going to cover what I want to see in this next update, and it's coming up quick. So without further ado, let's get started. So my thoughts on the game thus far, I think it's great. Honestly, it feels like a fully finished game in many ways, in my opinion. I wouldn't say I'm like new to ARPGs, but somewhat new. Started playing with Diablo 4 really heavily, and then saw all the news with Path of Exile 2 and just got really pumped up for it and have been playing it ever since. Its initial release for early access. So yeah, can't say enough positive things about Grinding Gear Games and the game that they've created. It's really just like exceeded all of my expectations. The skill tree, the passives and all that stuff, all the different gear, all the ascendancies, the artwork, the play style, the interaction between Grinding Gear Games and the community is just on another level. Those guys are great. Transparency is excellent. And I think that they have, what's best in mind. They know what's best. I should say they listen to the community just enough, and then surprise us with something that we weren't expecting that is much better than we ever could have conceived. So yeah, that's my initial thoughts on the game. I love the game, and I can't wait to see what they're gonna do with it in the future. Which brings me to my thoughts on this upcoming patch and what I want to see in this patch. So I really just have two main things, for this patch. The first one is just content, right? And I know it's kind of like a general term, an overarching concept really, but I think the game just needs more content. I think it's got all the right systems and bones. Obviously with probably some touch-ups with, crafting and some stuff like that. But I think the game just needs more content. It seems like every season that it's only one or two types of builds that rise to the top, and everybody plays, 70-80% of players play one type of build. I think if we do get more content, like more ascendancies, more playable characters, more weapons, more types of maps, more bosses, more types of content to engage in, I think we'll see a more well-rounded and diverse pick of builds and ways to enjoy the game. It just adds to the replayability, since they're on this 4-month cycle. After the first 3 to 4 weeks, a lot of people get burnt out on it, and after playing the strongest builds or whatever the meta build is, they don't want to go try anything else because it's not going to be as strong, right? So yeah, that's point number 1. Point number 2, I want to see the game optimized. So I know there's a lot of discussion around clarity, and I don't disagree that clarity can be an issue, but I really just think it's like an optimization issue. And people with their different computer systems, I tend to think that people have unrealistic expectations when it comes to what their PC can achieve. This game is a demanding game graphically, and when you're flooding your screen with monsters and skills, it's gonna bog down and stress your computer. That's just the fact. So I think people just need to manage their expectations. If you're having trouble hitting those frames that you want to hit, and you're losing clarity and your game is stuttering, drop the quality and cap your frames per second. That would be my advice. Start with that. But if there is like anything to be fixed in that department, I think it just needs to be optimized. I think grinding gear games probably, you know, considered clarity and optimization as an acceptable loss, as something that they could kind of like put to the side, um, and instead focus on bringing us more content. And, I accept those terms. I think that's fine. It's gotten us great content so far. So, yeah, that being said, those are the two things I want to see. Obviously we're getting Druid, which I'm pumped about. Shout out to Try. The guy is like the Druid king, man. Don't mention it on your interview with Jonathan, by the way. You're gonna jinx it again, dude. Please don't mention it. And then we're getting like a huge, it's the end game patch, right? So it's gonna be great. I'm pumped up for that. But yeah, I think that's it for Cup of Poe episode 1, guys. Leave me a like, hit the follow. Whatever YouTubers ask for at their end of their videos these days. And I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Peace.